Like he had made an excuse. Yes. You painted that for me, so I just like articulated what I was seeing.
You can't unsee it once you see it, can you?
Welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. Hey, everybody. My name is Will, and joining me, and all of us, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John. Hey, guys.
Hi, guys. Whom I missed.
Hey. Whom you missed? Aw.
Yes.
Kat didn't have anything better to do, so she's doing it today. Hey, and before I forget to tell you, don't forget to check out our friend John's other job, his moonlighting job, over at the Gen X Grown Up YouTube channel, podcast, and the like.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, on today's show, look, instead of giving the actual topics today, the news stories, I'm just going to give you a word or two that'll give you an idea of the topic that we're going to talk about. Okay. We're going to talk about Clue, Rocky, Doctor Who, Jell-O, and the Naked Gun. It'd be really cool if there was some kind of unifying theme there, other than them being things from our childhood.
That's what I was looking for.
Right. It's like you're playing Tribond. Like, how would all these things have in common?
Nostalgia. Nostalgia is the answer, I think.
Oh, there you go. They all relate back to the 1980s and therefore appropriate for the show.
70s, 80s, that sort of thing. Speaking of nostalgia, I want to tell you guys about a podcast that I've just started listening to a few weeks ago. It's called Desperately Seeking the 80s. And of course, look, it's 80s, right? So you know I love it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't love all 80s podcasts. But I like this one a lot. And I'll tell you why. Well, first of all, it's hosted by Meg and Jessica. And they've been, I was going to say lifelong friends. But doesn't that suggest they would have known each other since birth? I guess. I don't know. Anyway, they've known each other since the beginning of the 1980s, since 1982.
That's a long time.
They split the show up between the two of them, sort of like two segments, right? Where Meg presents a news story from the 1980s. So that part's kind of like our true crime in a sense, that type of story, an interesting story that, often has a crime involved, sort of. In the end, the second half of the show, Jessica takes over. And her items are more pop culture, but again, something, torn out of the 80s, let's say magazines, to distinguish it from news in that sense. But they're both great presenters. And as a result of their, I would say again, lifelong relationship, right? Nearly lifelong, they have great chemistry. And so look, and this is, I'll tell you right, frankly, this is what I love about their show. And it's the thing that they do this thing that I hope when our show does, I think it's the best it can be. Is that they share these stories with one another, right? But these stories lead inevitably to discussions, reminiscences about from their own lives, and it could be something recent, that's connected to the topic, and often it's something that happened in the 1980s or from their youths, So they use these stories as some sort of jumping off points, which they return to, but it leads to these bigger discussions. And because of their, chemistry, which again, it probably came from this friendship that's endured, they're really honest. And I love that. They're genuine and honest. So many of these other shows, I feel like they're kind of hacky and putting things on. I hope people don't think that about us. Because, if we can be honest, that when we're honest in our show and, I think it's the best it could be. And I feel that way about this show.
And I would buy the lifelong friends thing because, look, the couple shows I've listened to already, they definitely gel. Like maybe they weren't born in side-by-side cribs going, let's start a podcast. Right?
What's a podcast?
But the part of their lives that matter, I think they have shared together. And that's what really comes through, I think, in their work.
I love the name. Is that a play on Desperately Seeking Susan, possibly?
Oh my God, Kat.
Will's just picking up on that?
You're right.
I thought it was so obvious that I didn't mention it.
Is he being facetious, John? Is he teasing me?
That explains why they're dressed like Madonna's character from that movie in their website and in their show and all that.
Is he? Yeah. Is he pulling my leg, John?
Yes, of course I knew. Anyway, look, that's just another reason to listen. They're so very clever.
That's right.
do yourself a favor. Check it out. It's Desperately Seeking the 80s. You can find it anywhere you can find this podcast. So you can find it easily, hosted by our new friends, Meg and Jessica. All right. Hey, before we get on with the show, I do want to make an announcement, a show note with regard to our program here. Hey, we're going to be off next week. But as a so I don't think there'll be a new episode next week. But as a maybe semi-consolation, I don't know. On May 4th, if you're free, Saturday, May 4th, the evening of May 4th, I don't know what time it'll be, 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. No, John, it's not that. In honor of May 4th, which is, Star Wars Day, we're going to be doing, I don't know who will be joining me. Somebody will, maybe 1, 2, or 0 people will be joining me as we do Star Wars Trivia Live on Facebook, YouTube, right where we are right now. You can join us. And we're going to give away some cash prize. I'm thinking, let's see, what is it? The first movie came out in 1977, right? So we've been celebrating May 4th since then. So let's see. What's the math? 2024 minus 1977.
Wait, you're going to give away $1,977? That's incredibly generous.
John.
Wow.
John, you and I are so often on the same path. I started there, and then I was like, all right, maybe it could be $197.70. Then it became $19.77.
It's 77 cents. That one we could manage. Yes.
Yeah.
But we keep going down, and now it's just 77 cents.
Yes, exactly.
Everyone who watches gets 77 cents.
John, I mean, again, your jokes are revealing like what I was really considering. Because then I was like, all right. Because then my next thought was, all right, $19.77. That's not. No one's going to want to, be on Facebook for that. So instead, we'll give it away to a few people, $19.77.
Oh, well, maybe
we're not
4
do
people.
That.
Like
What's that?
May the 4th. May the 4th, maybe 4 people.
The 4th.
4? Oh, okay.
Or give away a trilogy of $19.77.
Right.
Ooh.
No, I think instead what we're going to do is, since it's the 47th anniversary of Star Wars Day, we're going to be giving away $47. But probably because we can't give away increments of singles, it's going to be $50. So we're giving away $50. All right, so there you go.
Giving away 77 cents at a time.
50. Maybe it'll be more. Who knows? But it will happen on May 4th, the evening of May 4th. So I'm thinking probably like 8 p.m. Eastern, maybe, Kat. If I don't know if Kat's going to join me or not. I know John, he doesn't like Star Wars, so he won't be there.
All the more reason to show up and ridicule.
Oh, okay, there you go. Nerds.
Talk about rigmarole.
Nerds to us. All right, I think that's
my turn.
Let's get started on 1980s news. This week in 1980s news, just as I teased earlier by saying Clue. The Clue film and TV rights land at Sony. Now, this reminds me of our conversation from, I don't know, several months ago, where we were talking about all the different Mattel games that were going to be made into movies. The actual ones, like Uno. I mean, it's just bonkers.
Well, this one at least I can see a plot happening.
I feel like the Uno. I recall that one got a little blue as we discussed what the Uno movie might be like. I don't recall what we talked about exactly, but
well, it's because the woman who wrote the screenplay said it was, and I quote, "fuck heavy."
That's right. Yeah, I wonder if Clue will be. Ooh.
The studio didn't care for the first version of the script. But you're right, Kat. This one has people in it, at least. Not a deck of cards. Anyway. Well, as I mentioned.
Colonel fucking Mustard.
Yeah.
Fucking library.
Oh, okay. There you go. Right. It's the word. She meant the word.
Rope.
She meant the word.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
Very, very, very heavy.
It's an orgy with dire consequences.
Don't they all, really?
Well, not murder necessarily, or death as a result.
No, the orgies. The orgies.
Dire.
Do they all involve candlesticks?
Of course, murders have dire consequences. It's a murder.
Okay. So look, Sony landed the deal with Hasbro Entertainment. So you get TriStar Pictures and Sony Pictures Television are going to be developing adaptations of the classic murder mystery board game. If you didn't know, and I didn't, but even though I played this game throughout the 1970s and 80s and still play it to this day, but the game's been around since the 1940s. It was actually invented by Anthony Pratt and Elva Pratt, a husband and wife, who were holed up in their home in Birmingham, England, during trying to hide out from air raids during World War II.
Wow. An interesting origin story. Yeah.
And apparently, among the many things that Anthony did, he was a musician. And so he recalled a game that the musicians would play, like waiting, in between gigs or waiting to go on stage. It was sort of this detective a murder sort of solve, some kind of using deduction game. And he blended that with Agatha Christie, which was very popular at the time, and came up with this game.
Wow.
But they pitched it to Waddington's publisher, their game publisher, and they snatched it right up. But even though the Pratts wanted to call it murder with an exclamation point,
I like that.
The game publisher said, let's call it Cluedo. And they were being clever because they were combining the word clue with the word ludo, which not only in Latin means I play, but is also the name of a game that's popular in the UK that's sort of like Parcheesi. So they were leveraging a brand already that was, a popular game among people in their homes. Okay. We don't have to wonder if this is going to be, right? I sort of joked at the beginning about the other deals that these companies are making to make, to turn their toys into,
yes,
an 8-episode series on Apple TV. Uno was a real one. Matchbox Cars was a real one. Hot Wheels, whatever. Okay, anyway,
it was kind of. Yeah.
We don't have to think too hard about whether this could be successful or not, because if you remember, in 1985, there was already a comedy
done
based on the game that starred Tim Curry and Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Lee Ving, who we talked to a long time ago. He played Mr. Body, and a whole host of other folks in the movie. It wasn't a box office hit, but had had lukewarm reviews. But like many films in the 1980s, it seems the critics trash it, and it still goes on to be huge with audiences once it's available on VHS, of course. And the movie itself, which I watched, we watched not too long ago, it reminded me of another movie that came out a little bit earlier, was Murder by Death, which itself is a parody of Agatha Christie. So there's a lineage for this type of film, and so it'd be hard to screw it up. Now, I don't know why they have the movie and TV rights, so how does that work out? You certainly don't want to. Is there a universe where these things are continuing? Like we've got a Boba Fett movie or Mandalorian movie coming that's a spinoff of the show. I don't know. That might be too much clue, I think.
Right. Do you need the Colonel Mustard origin movie? Or I think we can just agree that these are characters in Clue. We don't have to get them all assembled in the murder house.
Right.
We can start there. Right?
Yeah. You're right. They could make a great series where, if you got 8 episodes and let's say 6 characters that you follow each of them and then they're coming together, over the sort of the course of it. And then the mystery's finally revealed in the final act. Yeah.
Or have them do a flashback midway through, right? This starts with the murder and then you have each character has their own flashback. Put me in the writer's room.
Oh, yeah.
Jeez, so many
John,
great
this
ideas.
is like, what was that? That horror anthology that
Haunting on Hill House.
No, the other one, the more recent one by the same guy, Mike Flanagan. House of
yes, that one. I can't think of the
Usher.
Yep.
House of Usher?
Follow the House of Usher. Yeah, based on Poe.
Fantastic. Every episode was a different Poe story, but he threaded them together with this, and they were a lot of the stories were flashbacks, like John's talking about. Oh, yeah, that could be really good. Now, of course, if you recall, the 1985 movie was not only funny, but it was also a clever murder mystery. And I've often heard that when authors write these books, I read about this not too long ago, but when authors write mystery books, they work backwards. They figure out the ending and they sort of work backwards and lay the clues. But they say that the key to making a satisfying murder mystery is that the reader, or in this case, maybe the viewer, will get it down to 3 people it could possibly be, and then we'll settle on one. And they may be right or wrong. They got about a 30% chance. With this movie, so the author's laying in clues that will make you think 3 people could have done it, maybe. In this movie, they did the same thing, only they had them all be all 3 of those people, actually I think 4 technically, be the killer, because this movie had multiple endings. And depending upon when and where you saw the movie, you got a different version, a different resolution to the story.
How was that handled logistically on home video, though? This is one of those movies I've never seen.
Oh, John.
And I always appreciated, here's a brief aside. As I was prepping for this episode, I thought, if ever my 2 colleagues over at Gen X Grown Up were to watch an episode or listen to an episode of this show, you have 3 topics. Each of us are super fans of one of the 3 stories about a topic about which the other 2 don't care.
Oh. Is it this one? Because
Clue is
okay. We could try to figure it out.
Clue is one that
okay.
I don't have any direct knowledge of. So yeah.
Okay.
So one of them. But the point is, I was always curious how they handled that. On DVD, you could jump to different tracks. Maybe I figured they allowed that. Did you just not know which VHS tape you got, or did you have to collect all four, or how did that work?
Did you have to go to different Blockbusters?
Yeah.
Only Movie Gallery gets this ending. Blockbuster gets the other one. Right.
You had to leave the city limits. Come on, Mom, just another 10 miles.
No, I got to see how the other guy did it.
What they did is when it was on cable and when on VHS, you're right, DVD, they had the advent of being able to change chapters. So maybe they did something a little different. I never saw it on DVD, but I've seen it on tape and I've seen it on cable. What they do is they just play each ending after another. And what they say, they break them up by the narrator, I think, saying, or it could have happened this way.
Okay.
And so they have one ending, and then he says, or it could happen this way. They show another ending. And when they get to the final one, he says, but it happened this way. And they play, you know, the
so it suggests that's
it.
actually the ultimate conclusion.
Yeah.
In that order. Okay. So they kind of watered it down for DVD video release, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Now, and I see folks in the comments, like the movie, Darth says, sorry, the original Clue movie was a good movie. Yeah, I agree 100%. Karen,
I don't disagree. I just don't know.
Yeah, no, I love it. My family,
no personal knowledge.
Yeah, in fact, there's a play going on touring the country right now. Clue. It might be a musical that we were hoping to see, but Miss So says I haven't played it in a long time. They have some choose your own adventure games based on the books that came out a few years ago. Oh, cool. And Brandon says, didn't it have different endings? Yeah, that's right. Depending on where you saw it, that's absolutely right. Now, my family, look, we love Clue. We love the movie. We love the game. And most recently, my wife had this sort of, we were out with some friends, and our one friend said, hey, do you guys ever play the Clue VHS mystery game? And my wife had this real light bulb moment, like, oh my goodness, like a childhood memory unlocked, you know, where she suddenly remembered playing it with her brother like over and over again. And so, of course, immediately she found this one and its sequel on eBay.
Sequel.
Yeah. Now for folks, John, you'll appreciate this because look at this.
Oh,
the VHS is still in the packaging.
Yes.
Still crispy.
Yeah. As are the cards too. So this is a rare find. But we've been playing this, which is cool because it's kind of like, you know, DVD games that came later where you'll remember this though, because they did have some of these with tapes. You have to pause and then play or fast forward or, you know, different spots to get to the different scenes you want to see. But you have to pay attention to the scene because then solving the mystery depends upon what you observed while watching it. And you don't know what you're looking for. Yeah. So it's pretty fun anyway. I don't know if anybody else.
Awesome.
Maybe I know the answer to my question, but how are you playing it if the VHS is still in shrink wrap?
Yeah.
Did you download the video or did you get it on DVD also? Or are you lying to me?
No.
Which of those options? Yes, all those.
John is asking the questions that pop up in my head as well.
Yeah.
We love playing this. As you can see, it's sealed.
We've never opened it. That's how much. You're right.
Playing by osmosis.
My wife cleverly found someone who had ripped the tapes to DVD. So we used the DVDs.
There we go.
Plus, it's a lot easier because you can bounce around, you know.
Of course. Yeah.
Anyway, you'll remember, though, just a couple of years ago, I think we talked about it on the show, there was already a Clue movie that was supposed to be coming starring Ryan Reynolds and being written by the team that brought us the Deadpool movies. So it's unknown what's to become of that, but I imagine with this announcement, it's not going to happen. Anyway, Hasbro also recently announced that they're making a monopoly with the woman who did Barbie, Margot Robbie, with her company, Lucky Chap. You guys did a great job with Barbie. Can you help us make a Monopoly movie? Because that's, you know, you could do it with anything.
Is Margot Robbie going to play the banker with the top hat and spats?
Ryan Reynolds will be in jail. The little
it's a crossover.
The Hasbroverse.
Yeah.
Look, Barbie made a statement about society. I think Monopoly could too.
Greed is good. That hasn't been done yet, has it?
No. That's a great line. You should put you in the writer's room. Write that
Still
down.
wide open.
Yeah.
There you go. Write that down.
You know, what about income inequality? There were two N's next to each other. Income inequality. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
You look
another
like
19
a Baltic Avenue kind of person.
Yeah. Wait, hang on. I got to do some Googling and figure out. Or maybe get the board game out.
It ain't St. Charles, I'll tell you that.
Oh, geez.
Baltic is one of the
Trouble.
cheapy cheaps.
Oh, yeah.
Trouble.
Dirt cheap.
Yep.
Yeah. You buy them if you pass go and get plenty of change left over.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Keith said he'd watch it. All right. Oh, and Brandon says if it's a Monopoly movie, it needs to be just like Wall Street. There you go. You guys are on the same wavelength there.
All right.
See there? I'm reading everybody's minds today.
Oh, and Craig says that was
You
the
are.
point of the game to shine a light on capitalism. Capitalism was
to
a
crush the
legal
peons
game.
under your boot. Yeah, that's the point.
There you go. Hey, another 1980s news as reported by Variety. Rocky II's story changed following an injury to its star. Now,
Ooh.
if you remember, it's so funny because I don't remember all the Rockies very clearly, and I kind of mix up what happens. Like I swear he fights Mr. T in Rocky 2,
Oh.
but he doesn't. He fights him in Rocky 3. So,
Rocky 3. Okay.
yeah, Rocky 2 is essentially a rematch between Rocky and Apollo Creed.
I used to remember them from he lost, he won, he lost, and then I lost track.
Oh, I think he just kept winning after that.
Spoiler alert.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. He might have kept winning,
yeah.
but he had personal losses. Does that count?
Oh
Lost-
gosh, yeah, those are the worst losses. I know. He lost his
too
wife.
deep? Yeah.
He lost his mental fitness. Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Yep.
Anyway, in the first Rocky movie, the one thing I do remember is how important it was that he was a southpaw. In fact, it was a plot element of sorts because so many times he talked about how, well, I'm a southpaw. And they'd be like, Apollo, you can't fight a guy who's a southpaw. That's fine. I could fight a guy who's a southpaw. Don't worry about it. No problem. Yeah, with southpaws, you got to keep them on your toes. In fact, I checked the script and southpaw is mentioned 8 times. Now, this doesn't sound like a whole lot of numbers, but, a high number. But for this, for a plot, I don't know, I'll say it's the MacGuffin of the film, but it was important. What's interesting is, what I didn't remember is that in Rocky 2, suddenly he's not a southpaw anymore. Instead, his character has eyesight problems, and so he's forced to learn. Talk about Johnny with his losses. I guess he started with his eyesight, losing his eyesight first.
Yep, there you go.
And because he can't see well out of that side, he is now forced to learn how to fight with his right hand.
It never occurred to me what a silly reason that is to fight with your right hand.
Yes.
What? Your eyes are in the same place on your head. You can see over there just like you can see over there. I mean, it seemed
Yeah, and any
odd
depth
to me.
and any depth. What is it called? Depth
Depth perception?
perception.
Yeah, and depth perception
It's going to be the
problem
same
you
on
have.
either side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you mind stepping over to my left a little bit? Yeah. I would just keep stepping to my right. Yeah.
There's also this radical fighting trick I can show you. If you're having trouble seeing out of your right eye, watch this. You ready?
Oh, yeah. He turned his head slightly.
It's really easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy. You turn your head
there you
slightly
go.
to the side and you're fine. But I don't want to ruin Rocky 2 for you.
Anyway, it never
Yeah.
occurred to me a
Yeah.
couple of things. One, that was kind of a dumb story point. I just assumed it was,
Yeah.
I don't know. But I was a kid when I saw it, I guess. Anyway.
Right. I think that factors into it if you're a kid.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay. It didn't
When's he
matter.
going to fight, Mom? Is he going to win this time? Anyway, turns out that
After he's done being a southpaw, Billy.
now is he a North Paw? Are we rooting for the North or the South? So it wasn't Stallone's original plan, though, to have him have to do this. He was going to continue to be a southpaw. But Stallone revealed on the TMZ special called Arnold and Sly, Rivals, Friends, Icons, where it's an interview with both Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I believe the only time they've sat down together for an interview. And of course, as we've talked before, these guys have a long history of being friendly, rivals over the decades.
Frenemies.
Since they've had their career.
Setting one another up for movies they didn't want to do.
Yep.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
Lampooning one another in their films. Yeah, all these kinds of fun things. Well, it turns out that there was actually what Stallone believed at the time, a near career-ending injury that took place that threatened to put his boxing franchise on hold, even before he was set to shoot the sequel. Stallone was training with Franco Columbu. Now, there's an interesting thing about this, and I read about it, and I can't find it now. But Franco Columbu, though, is you've seen him in. I think you've probably seen him in movies. He's also trains Schwarzenegger. He's one of Schwarzenegger's best friends. Anyway, he was training with Franco Columbu a month and a half before Rocky II was set to shoot. when he rips his pec muscle, as he describes, right off the bone. Stallone went on to explain, and when he tells the story, he says that Franco, he calls Frank, he was challenging, like pushing him, like, come on, I can't, can you do this much weight? So Stallone says, so I go down and maybe it's only 200 pounds. I'm just warming up and I hear, pow. I fall on the floor and Franco goes, let me see. He jams his fingers. I've torn my pec off the bone. I mean, bad. I could hear it go rip. And he's jamming his fingers. I think I'm going to black out. And we have audio from that day.
Ouch. Oh.
Anyway, Rocky 2 is set to, like as I mentioned, it's set to shoot just, within 2 months. And if you don't recall, Sylvester Stallone not only wrote these films and stars in them, he was going to direct this one as well. And so Stallone's certain his career is done. He can't use his left arm the way he normally would, and certainly not to box. But instead of quitting, Stallone pressed on and decided, hey, if I can't use my left arm, then neither can Rocky. And he rewrote the script to account for his injury. And the rest is history, so to speak. It went on to be a huge success, $200 million at the worldwide box office, and the third highest growing movie of the year in 1979.
Well, so maybe a stupid plot twist, but good thing he did it anyway.
Well, he didn't let it derail the film. Was the important thing, right? So it turned out. It reminds me a little of a Princess Bride, I know one thing you do not know. I am not left-handed.
Yes.
It's kind of like this reverse Rocky thing.
Yeah.
No, I started telling you guys, and I didn't finish because it wasn't the right timing at the moment. But I read, and it was probably in this. It's probably in this video interview, but I didn't watch the video. I read excerpts of it, and I read one of them, but I couldn't find it again. Where Stallone questions, or he said he questions at the time whether Schwarzenegger hadn't put Franco up to it to keep him from filming Rocky.
Ooh,
that he would get injured.
I can't imagine.
Oh no,
that's how crazy their rivalry was.
Oh my gosh.
How would Columbo have made him be a wuss and tear a muscle with 200 pounds? It's not like he was like, go ahead, lift a ton. You can do it, right? It wasn't like he has a crazy amount of weight. Not like a setup.
Yeah, he's like, now jerk it really fast. As fast as you can.
More abruptly, please.
You've heard of clean and jerk? Just snap it.
Are you lifting with your legs? Lift with your back.
That didn't sound right. Do it again.
How many reps? Keep going till you hear a pop.
Anyway, in a moment reminiscent of his on-screen character, Stallone said, quote, it's interesting the way these incredible journeys happen, but we don't stop. We don't quit.
Here we go.
I stopped watching the Rockies, I want to say after Rocky 4, but I do remember watching the one with Tommy Gunn in it. Do you remember Tommy Gunn? And after that, I stopped watching them, I think. No, I watched the recent one that was Rocky. Because there was Rocky and then there was Balboa, right? I think. No, Balboa. I watched Balboa. That was actually
That was
good. That was good.
That was pretty good. I saw that one.
Rocky 5 was garbage.
I feel like I've seen them all at least once. I had to have. Yeah.
Does that mean you're watching the Creed films too?
First, I didn't continue with them. Not for any negative reason, just too much media.
Brandon says Rocky 2 was good, but my favorite is 4, the best fight ever with Ivan Drago. Turn the surround sound all the way up and it feels like
I must break.
Like a badass. I feel like a badass vicariously for about 15 minutes.
For 15 minutes. I love it.
That works.
Hey, also this week in 1980s news from Entertainment Weekly, a 1980s favorite returns to Doctor Who. Now I'm going to be straight with you guys. I think I've told you this before. I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan. I'm not a Whovian, as they say. But my limited experience with Doctor Who came in the 80s, in the early 80s, because Tom Baker, who was the Doctor Who at the end of the 70s, they started airing those in the U.S. In the early 80s. Maybe it started in the very late 70s, but certainly in the early 80s. And it was on, I want to say it was on PBS. It was probably some sort of...
That's right.
Yes.
Part of that block of BBC shows that we'd get on PBS. And I loved it. I don't know what was going on, but it was sci-fi. It was time travel. It was weird special effects. It was fun. And I've watched a little bit of the newer ones, but there is something about Doctor Who that's been consistent, it seems, throughout the decades. And again, I watched it in the 80s and I watched a few in the last, 10 years maybe, that they're so fun in the sense that it's kind of like we talked about the King Kong Godzilla movie. You feel like a kid could be making up. It's like how we play, you know? I mean, it's just so
They take it very
over
seriously inside of the universe, but it's often nutty premises. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know. It requires the imagination of a youthful person, I think, to come up with these situations they get into. I don't know. But one thing I didn't realize or remember was, or know about, was this character, Melanie Bush. And it's been almost 40 years since she first stepped into the TARDIS. Bonnie Langford is the actor that created that character. She made her debut on Doctor Who in 1986 as the bubbly redheaded companion to Colin Baker's Sixth Doctor. And she has the distinction of also serving the Seventh Doctor as well. In fact, she has, let's see, she's been on, do I have it here?
Sylvester McCoy? No.
Yeah, Sylvester McCoy was the seventh, yep.
Was it? Okay.
Nice.
But she's, here it is. So she's been on screen with multiple doctors, including Baker, McCoy, Whittaker, and Tennant, David Tennant, and Jodie Whittaker as well. Yeah. Anyway, so now she's returned, though. I think this is, look, I don't know. It's just so cool. It's cool for lots of reasons. One, because it's something from the 1980s that's, still here. But also she's an older woman. She's in her 60s and still getting work. I love it.
Yes. Yes, that is awesome. I love that.
And like you, not a huge Doctor Who fan. I've watched plenty of it, but I'm not a Whovian. I haven't watched every single one. I don't know every Doctor. I know John Pertwee. I know Tom Baker. I know Sylvester McCoy, just from samplings, right? Because it's lived my entire life and, before. But we've also talked many times. One of the things I love that they're doing here is I really enjoy seeing characters we knew when we were young, what they're doing now that they're old. It's what I appreciated about the later Indiana Jones movies. It's what I appreciated about this latest Ghostbusters film. What I like most about it is seeing those people also age and see how they deal with the things that I'm dealing with. Yeah. Because when they were young, I was young, and now I'm not, and they're not. And so you get to see the character evolve just like the people do. I love that. Whenever they do that, it's great for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's got to be a newer phenomenon, right? I don't know what's to account for that, except for the fact that we don't seem as old as we are in our 60s as we did in the 80s when you were in your 60s.
Oh, man.
So, you know what I'm saying? And you're not. I mean, so health-wise, physically, all these different things, cognitively, that you're able to do it. I don't know what else would account for that we have a greater appreciation for, folks into an older age than maybe we did generations ago, even in this country.
What else? Coming to America was a great resurgence of those characters. See what they're like. We saw their trajectory in a film in the 80s. Where have they been? What do we get? Where are they at now? What are they doing? And in this article, you see that this companion has been doing serious work. She has become not just a companion to a doctor, but taken what she learned from the doctor and use it in the real world. She had alien experience and stuff that she's actually using in the real world of the universe that otherwise she would not have had, which kind of makes up for the fact that the companions don't get much to do in the series for a long time. Yeah. They're just kind of there. Yeah.
Did
they're
you hear how
friends.
John said that? Alien experience. He's so jealous.
I know.
Of the alien experience.
I know. That'd be a great job.
Oh, the probing. You're right, John. In fact, she points out in this article that and when she was in the 1980s playing this character, she said, quote, "I used to run about and scream at monsters and go, 'Oh, doctor.'"
Sounds like poor Nichelle Nichols. Hailing frequencies, Captain. Like that was her big...
Yeah. She adds that the character, Mel, was written as a computer programmer, but that she didn't go anywhere near a computer. That's terrible. But as you
she's taking a break.
In this latest incarnation, she gets to use her technical skills. So she appeared most recently in the 60th anniversary special, The Giggle, that then joining Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor. So we're on the current Doctor now, is a new actor. Ncuti Gatwa is the actor's name. Then she'll be joining Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor in the upcoming season, which is premiering on May 10th on Disney Plus and on the BBC. Oh, I didn't know we can get it now. It used to be a big pain in the ass to get it. You need BBC America, and then now they have BritBox, so they they lock everything up. So you have to pay for another tier or something, and then I lost all my shows.
Well, I just want to point out that Kat did Foley work when you listed the name of the episode, the 60th anniversary episode.
What does that sound like?
You said it was called The Giggle. And
Oh,
she giggled.
excellent. That's excellent, Kat. Thank you.
You can catch it in the edit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Amp it up. Echo, please. Thanks.
Oh. Blah, blah, blah. Keith says, Shooty got, well, that was a filter I put on you called Monster. Keith says, Shooty Gatwa's doctors are perfect, jumping on point. You know, that's the one thing about shows like this. I get intimidated. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I want to be able to be that person that says, oh, this reminds me of in the second season. This is a callback. But I can't do that. So I'm going to be like, all my references or whatever I see from now forward. So I'm like, screw it, then I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Maybe you can.
All or nothing.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to have a dear friend of mine, still have a dear friend of mine, who is a huge Doctor Who fan.
Mm-hmm.
And what he would do is he tried to get me into it. We were roommates in college. I never really bit. I tried, just didn't grab me. And so what he'll do is he'll go, all right, I've got another great standalone episode for you. You don't have to know any background of anything. Right. Or he'll say, here's this one. All you need to know is blah, blah, blah. Now watch that one. And so that's how I watch Doctor Who is when my dear friend cherry picks an episode. He's pre-screened it to make sure I'm not going to miss anything important. So this one's great to watch on its own. So that's really how I consume Doctor Who anymore.
Yeah, my daughter did that with me too, my oldest one. During the reboot. Craig says, I watched it in the 80s and I didn't return until the reboot in the early 2000s. That's when my kid picked it up. And then she would say, oh, you got to, look, just watch this one. And then, I saw some great episodes that way. And that's why I understand I would like it. It's a lot to commit to catch up.
It would be hard for me to come partway through as well. I see Craig is saying that he started with the 9th Doctor and it wasn't too confusing, but there would be a part of me that's like, oh, but I'm missing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hard not to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was the second of 3 stories that would appeal to only one of the Gen X grown-up guys.
Oh.
That was the second one.
So at the end, Kat, we got to figure out who between John, George, or Mo, who likes, what was the first story?
Clue.
Clue.
And now
Doctor Who. And there's at least one more coming.
All right.
Oh,
I have a guess is what it is. I think it's this next story right here.
We'll see.
Wait, is it Jell-O?
Yeah, I think it's the Jell-O. I think it's the Jell-O. Let's save Jell-O for last because it's going to be the Jell-O. Hey, next up in 1980s news, and per the Hollywood Reporter, the creator of The Naked Gun doesn't approve of the reboot. We talked about this a while ago, that Liam Neeson is going to be the new Frank Drebin. Or at least that character. I don't know if they're going to call him the same thing or not. But we most recently learned that Pamela Anderson is signed on to star opposite Liam Neeson in this Paramount Pictures remake, which is based, incidentally, on a comedy show that only lasted 6 episodes in a series called the Police Squad.
Police Squad.
Which, aired in the 1980s. And then we had it roll into films, The Naked Gun, which began in the 1980s, and then they continued with sequels into the 1990s. That show, by the way, is still hysterical.
Spectacular. Yep.
So clever.
6 episodes. That's all there was.
Yeah.
There's a million running gags. For 6 episodes, they had most shows, their first season is like hit or miss, and they haven't found their footing. By the 2nd episode already, you were seeing repeating gags that they clearly would have run for years if they had been allowed to. They're always crashing into trash cans on the curb, even if there's not chasing anyone. Every episode has 2 titles.
Yep.
Every episode has a guest star who dies in the opening scene. It's like the reverse of Law and Order. If you watch Law and Order and you see a celebrity and you go, they did it. You're sure, right? Why would you bring this person on? Well, in Police Squad, they brought in like William Shatner. And he chokes in a cafe in the beginning. He's the victim. Always the guest star is dead in the first scene. It was just ludicrous and great fun.
Of course, and you're waiting for them to freeze at the end during the credits. Will they do it or not? I love that. Yeah. Oh, Miss So says, I had no idea they were remaking Naked Gun. I'm sorry, Miss So, that you're having to hear it this way. Maybe you're a Pamela Anderson fan, though. Maybe that'll cheer you up. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. But you know what? There's a reason I'm being a little more optimistic about it. It's because Akiva Schaffer and is directing it. And the script was written by Dan Greger, Doug Mand, and Schaffer co-wrote it. And they were behind the Emmy-winning Disney Plus movie, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. And I've got to say, I expected nothing from that movie. It was fucking hysterical.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, like, it was wacky and weird and surreal, and they did shit that I can't imagine that Disney let them do with, I guess Disney owns, or whoever owned the properties, because they had to get licenses for a bunch of characters that were in there. Like the ugly Sonic. John, did you see this movie, Chip and Dale?
No.
Oh my God, it's so funny, man. It's one of those part animation.
You're ticking boxes for me, so I'm probably going to see it now.
It's like the Chipmunks movies where it's live action and animated, but it's like Wreck-It Ralph and Roger Rabbit in a sense, because they have some other characters from other worlds at different times.
Oh,
really?
And it's a murder mystery, and they're trying to solve a murder. It's so well done. But
that's also Roger Rabbity. I love that. Okay. I wasn't aware they did that in that film.
I love that too.
But like one of the surprising things about that was if you remember Sonic the Hedgehog, they had that movie coming out, and the first trailer showed that horrible CG, and they got lamb basted for it. So they changed it. Yep. Thank God. They're at a comic book convention like that we go to, and people signing autographs. And one of the characters they come across is Ugly Sonic, and he's like the first Sonic that got the can. Somebody let him put him in the movie. I don't know who owns Sonic.
Oh my God!
Anyway, it's really funny. But anyway, because those guys are behind it, I thought, okay, they are maybe a contemporary, Zucker, Abrams, Pat Proft, the guys who did the Airplane movies, who did the Naked Gun and the Police Squad. The original movie was written and directed by Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrams, and David Zucker, based on their popular show that we told you about. Regarding the reboot, we have no plot details. We suspect we know Liam Neeson's playing the lead, so probably Drebin, and we do know now that Pamela Anderson is playing his love interest in the way that Priscilla Presley played in the films with Leslie Nielsen. Anyway.
Really, though, do you need a plot for a Naked Gun movie?
Good question.
Isn't that really just a skeleton onto which hang bits?
No, well, yes, but you need that. Really? I think you need a strong skeleton to your metaphor.
You need something there. Right. Okay. Like,
what do we talk about? Ghostbusters 2016 was all bits and no skeleton.
That's fair. That's an excellent point. But to the Naked Gun leans more heavily on bits. Like, that's what it is. If you're saying, I want to be faithful to the original is bits with a thread of a story. So I guess what I'm saying is we don't have a plot yet is in no way a detriment to me being excited about the film, because it's not about the plot for me. It's going to be about how they put the bits together, I guess, is where I'm going.
And
Leslie Nielsen could pull that off. I'm wondering if Liam Neeson can.
Oh my gosh. He is hilarious.
Okay.
Have you seen some of his stuff, John? Like on Extras? He was a guest star on Extras, Ricky Gervais's BBC show where it was about extras in movies. He does this one scene. It's so funny. You just got to look it up.
Well, and Cat, if you think about it, Leslie Nielsen was a serious actor until he got the part in these Naked Gun films. And what's he doing in this jokey movie? And he became the jokey actor. He did serious bits up until that point.
Right. I thought you were alluding to that, Kat. All right. Maybe you didn't know that. Yeah.
No, I did not know that.
Yet Leslie Nielsen didn't think he could pull it off. He was like, yes. And it's really kind of funny.
I only know him as that. I only know him as this jokey guy, except, with deadpan jokey guy.
Kat, it's actually super surreal to go back and find an old Leslie Nielsen film, black and white film, and I'm serious. This is a big deal. And you're waiting for him to break. You're expecting him to crack the joke. And it's very unnerving because he was that up until that point. And then forever we've known him since then as this comedic actor. But that's not how he made his bones. And you go to old things and they're so funny. You're waiting for the joke.
I had no idea. That's fascinating. Yeah. Okay.
I'm thinking about Forbidden Planet, which I think is probably the only other movie I've seen him in. It's pretty. But anyway, So I think Liam Neeson could do it. He does this thing, and what I've seen him do is funny. Is he takes whatever he's doing super seriously. Now, Leslie Nielsen had. Wait, Liam Neeson and Leslie Nielsen. Oh, I
know it's hard to know. Right? I almost
Leslie Nielsen had this kind of twinkle in his eye where he was, I don't know, sort of mischievousness that I don't know. Not that he was in on the joke as the character, but kind of. Liam Neeson's got zero of that, so it will be different.
Yeah, of course.
Nielsen had like a charming obliviousness at all times. Yeah. He was never in on the joke, and he wasn't even aware he was doing something ridiculous half the time, and that's what made it so funny.
Liam Neeson or Leslie Nielsen?
No, Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Neeson, Liam Nielsen.
Which
Liam Neeson's.
N?
Send them both together. Anyway, regarding the reboot, as I mentioned up top here, David Zucker, who I mentioned was one of the original creators of these films, he told TMZ that he's not excited about having the franchise being taken over by other people, especially because he, along with his partners Pat Proft and Mike McManus, wrote a script for a new film in 2018 and believed that the studio liked it. Adding to this, he noted that he has zero involvement in the new film whatsoever, saying, quote, Paramount is just going ahead and doing it. They haven't involved me. I just don't have any thoughts on it. They're just going to do whatever they want to do. That's Hollywood. They have not contacted me not to make a cameo or be involved with the writing.
Okay.
And that's probably okay. I mean, for all that folks, don't like the new Star Wars stuff, and me included, I have issues with it. I don't dislike all of it. And I certainly don't dislike it because Kathleen Kennedy is in charge of Lucasfilm or because women are giving more, bigger roles in the films. That's not why I don't like them. There's plenty of other reasons to dislike them. But I do think you need a clean break with stuff like that. It wouldn't have been helpful, I don't think, to have George Lucas, for example, continue to be involved in these films as they're going on. You can't really evolve, I think. Not when someone's so like institutional in that, in that regard. It's kind of like we were talking about the politicians that won't leave office last week. Regarding the new cast, Zucker noted that he knows O.J. Simpson will not be in it. And he goes on to say that, quote, O.J.'s acting, because O.J. was in the original films, O.J.'s acting was a lot like his murder. He got away with it, but nobody believed him.
Yep.
Well, and plus also he's dead. So
yes, right.
There's that. It's the same reason Leslie Nielsen will not be in the film.
Oh, you're right. He didn't point that out.
Yeah.
But everybody believed him. So far, Paramount's penciled in for July 18th, 2025, but we know those things often change. All right, finally, in 1980s news here, and then we're going to wrap up the show and get the hell out of here, which is what I say when we'd have more news and fewer topics. All right, finally, in 1980s news, and I'm going to guess this is John's favorite topic. Wait, John, you weren't revealing your topic was the first one, were you? Because you said you had no interest in or knowledge of Clue.
Right.
And it's not
so.
Doctor
Actually,
Who.
Naked Gun was 3 of 3. That was the third
damn
one.
it! All right,
So
all right,
that's
whatever.
okay. You're right.
Huh?
Yeah,
So we still don't know who. We still don't know who's who.
Thought
Though,
it was
Kat.
Jell-O.
You got to figure that out.
Right. Who's who? Not sure. That's right.
That's right. We'll
Now
figure
I've
this
laid
out.
all the clues necessary
to
solve it
Oh, this was a mystery episode, John. That was so
the whole
meta.
time.
Oh, man. All right.
I've given you all the information you need to solve it.
All right. So don't tell us now. Then we'll listen to the show back and we'll see if we could figure it out. And we'll send everyone will send in their guesses, and whoever gets them all right will win a pat on the back. John will fly out.
Say, what do we win?
$19.77.
Yes, $1. Hey, whoa! $1.97.
Oh,
We're gonna make it $1.98.
0.7.
We're gonna round that 7 up to an
You're
8.
going to round up.
$1.98.
Round up to 7.
$2.
Finally, in 1980s news, as reported by comicbook.com, Jell-O introduces new flavored puddings. So it's been 5 years, it turns out. If folks have been keeping track, and I haven't, it's been 5 years since you've gotten a new Jell-O flavor. But now, good news, Jell-O is back.
It's about damn time.
Isn't it?
Said no one ever who just buys chocolate.
Yes.
Vanilla here.
Well, there's a ton of flavor. I know, it's kind of ridiculous.
Well, butterscotch, I guess, once in a while. Yeah.
So on April 23rd, Jell-O announced you'll be able to consume Jell-O Churro Delicioso and Jell-O Mango Sabroso. And after you Google what those are, you might purchase one or the other of those. I don't think I've ever had a churro before. It's like what? It's like dough and cinnamon or something?
I think so.
I've only seen them on TV.
Have you ever been to Taco Bell?
Yeah, I've been to Taco Bell.
Have you ever had a cinnamon twist?
Oh, yeah. I've had those. That's what it is, basically.
That's kind of what a churro is, but more dense. So it's very cinnamony, doughy. The cinnamon twist kind of like burst into dust in your mouth, whereas a churro, you have to bite it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a cinnamon doughy thing on a stick.
All right, sounds a little like Annie Ann's pretzel, cinnamon pretzel.
A little bit, but
those,
without pretzel. Yeah.
Well, the churro
without the
delicioso
substrate.
is said to be inspired by the growing popularity of churros. Now, again, I don't know that. I know in Southern California they're huge because I see them on TV shows that are features, set there. But growing beyond that, I don't know. It hasn't reached northeastern Ohio yet.
The other flavor we'll get to sounds fine, but no one was ever eating a churro and went, man, I wish this was a cold paste instead. What?
John?
Pudding?
Now you got me thinking about your Franks and beans. If somebody was walking along and
Wait, let's clarify. I shall make it very clear. When Will says he's thinking about John's Franks and beans,
yeah,
it's literal.
Yes.
It is not a euphemism.
yes, that's true.
I want to be super clear. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, and I wasn't likening your Franks and beans to a churro in that sense.
It's something else you like in a
All right,
paste form?
And now I
Where
realize-
are you going with
and
this?
now I'm remembering we talked about the Franks and beans off air, so this is not going to make any sense. All right, so maybe
for the
okay.
first
When has
time,
that
it's
ever
not me.
stopped you?
No, it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup commercial. Someone's walking along with a churro and someone's walking along
Yes.
with pudding, and they bump into each other, and that's how. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know.
And they start a fist fight because neither of those two things
Yeah.
fit together.
And I want the
The
churro
problem.
because that's whoosh, whoosh. And if I get to your peck, stick the fingers in there.
Right off the
And the
bone.
other flavor, mango sabroso. The flavor
Now
is the
that-
brand's first ever fruit forward refrigerated. This is how they wrote this.
Fruit
On
forward.
comicbook.com. Fruit forward refrigerated pudding cup.
What?
And it draws inspirations from Latin flavors. Yeah, both of these seem to, right?
Fruit forward.
What does that mean? Fruit forward.
I don't know. They're trying to create some new category for which we should advocate. Wait a second. Is your pudding fruit forward? It isn't? We want forward. We want fruit forward.
Equal rights for fruits. Put the fruits forward.
You're not fruit forward thinking enough. IBM is introducing a new fruit forward policy in hiring. All right.
Isn't there
And
lemon pudding? That's
Oh, gosh,
fruit,
yeah.
right?
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Lime was a big
Yeah.
thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Maybe these
yeah.
people who wrote
Well-
this don't realize those are fruits.
Gelatins, not puddings, though. I guess.
Oh,
it's
yes,
not like a lemon
John's right.
meringue pudding.
But lemon
But
pudding.
gelatin, yes, fruit flavors. Look, the gelatins have a long storied history of being fruit forward. Puddings, not
Yeah.
so much.
Long story.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
And
They have a-
the thing you've been longing
Quite a track record.
to hear whenever you have a churro or mango flavored dessert is that these are zero sugar.
I like a little sugar in my pudding.
Yeah, I
And-
want all the sugar.
I'm worried about if there's no sugar, what's in there sweetening it. I don't like artificial sweeteners.
Cerveza Cristal.
Mango sabroso.
Churro, whatever. What was the other one?
I could see a
Churro.
fruit pudding. Yeah, I would try that. But it's, I feel like
I would try it.
whatever drugs Pop-Tarts have been on for the last decade, they just shared it with Jell-O. And went,
Oh.
you want some crazy flavors, dude? You need to try pumpkin pie. You need to try whatever crazy
pumpkin
flavors
pie?
that they've made. Pop-Tarts, yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
Yep.
No,
Are they
I
only
missed this.
Are they seasonal though, or they're available all year?
Well, it depends on how long you leave them in the pantry. So I have some.
Yes, I think they're seasonal.
Oh, we bring some to me in July, okay?
Yeah.
Pumpkin pie.
they'll still be fine.
Okay,
But
yes,
yeah.
I know they will.
The gelatin, yes. The fruit pudding, even okay, but I still is my jaw wired shut? You had to put my churro in a blender to eat it through a straw.
You know what, John?
Because-
You joke, but you'll be coming out of surgery, waking up from anesthesia, and you're not going to just want that plain old gelatin.
He'll be
No.
grateful for the churro
Right.
pudding.
My jaw's like,
Churro.
I only want something that's fruit forward.
Hey, John, you need a medical bracelet that says that on it.
Fruit forward only. Do not resuscitate without fruit forwardness. Oh, message continued on Franks and Beans.
Forward DNR. Oh my God. FFDNR. Oh, jeez. Karen says she just had some Jell-O chocolate pudding for dessert tonight. So delicious. Mm-hmm. Mango sounds more like gelatin.
Tall
flavor.
cups.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Mango gelatin. They have that already. Mango gelatin. Super. Yeah, it's great.
Brandon says, what the fuck? Don't make my pudding any more complicated than chocolate and vanilla swirl.
Thank you.
That's complicated.
Thank you. My point exactly.
Look, it turns out there's a tons of Jell-O flavors, right? Including these two that we just talked about.
Yes.
But in a long history of Jell-O, there's been many flavors that have been discontinued. So once again, it's time to play.
Two delicious tastes in every spoonful.
I got a list of 5 of the strangest discontinued Jell-O flavors.
Oh.
Okay.
One of them I made up.
Ooh.
If you could tell me the one I made up, you will earn my undying respect and gratitude, and John will fly out and give me a pat, give one of you a pat in the back or pat himself. All right, here you go. Here are the 5.
So we're going to work together on this?
Yeah,
How's this
sure,
working?
that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
here's the 5. Okay.
Mixed vegetable and seasoned tomato Jell-O,
Oh my God.
cola Jell-O, imitation apple Jell-O,
Fruit forward.
coffee Jell-O, or celery Jell-O.
Oh God.
One of those I completely made up. The other 4 are actual strange and discontinued Jell-O flavors.
Understandably discontinued.
Oh. John.
All right. What are you thinking?
Any ideas?
I
Well,
think the
chat can
3 in
guess
the
as well.
middle are real. I think.
Okay.
3 in the middle.
So you're like the imitation apple?
Yep.
That sounds like a thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like it could be something.
Cola, imitation apple, and coffee is what you're.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, people make shit out of coffee all the time. And I understand why, but some apparently like it. Okay,
Yep.
I can see maybe you doing
I
coffee.
could see that. Yeah.
Hey guys, I realize there's an error in my research here.
Uh-oh.
They're all real. They're all real flavors.
No.
Damn it,
What?
Will.
Wait, what? Did you
Yes.
think you made one up? And then it turns out it was real?
We've been April Fooled 23 days
I
late.
didn't mean to do that to you guys. I didn't mean to do that to you guys.
What did you mean
I'll
to do
explain
us?
to you after the show. I'll explain to you after the show.
Okay.
Okay. So you're saying all of those at one point
yeah, all
were
these are real.
Jell-O flavors.
Wow.
So yeah, so it turns
Celery?
out. Yeah, it turns out. And I got this
That's
list from something
miserable.
called 11points.com. And a list they called the strangest discontinued Jell-O flavors. The first one, mixed vegetable and seasoned tomato Jell-O, is real. It turns out in the 1960s, it became a little bit of a trend to have Jell-O with vegetables in it as part of a salad.
Yes. Yes. Yes, Jell-O
Oh,
was
Yeah.
included in salads and was the main ingredient in some salads.
Could it also? What if it also had little SpaghettiOs in it, little letters and stuff,
Yeah.
suspended in the gelatinous form?
Yeah, that's what it looks like in the picture. Like there's vegetables suspended in the gelatinous cube there.
Corn,
Yeah.
peas.
Cola Jell-O is real as well. It turns out that there was in the South, apparently folks were already mixing Jell-O, just regular old Jell-O with Coke. And so Jell-O tried to capitalize on it by just making it a flavor.
I can buy that.
Imitation
easier.
apple Jell-O, which sounds awful.
It's fruit.
But it was
But that sounds like
introduced-
fruit backward instead of forward because of the imitation.
Oh, that's right.
You're right.
That's right.
But it was introduced in the 1950s when we were still fruit backward. Yes, you're right.
That's
Oh,
fact. Yeah,
there we
fact.
go.
The imitation didn't turn people off. They thought of it as a cheaper substitute for something.
Right. Apples had to fight for the right to be cast in apple rolls beyond that.
Yes. Coffee Jell-O came out in 1918.
Whoa.
Figures.
Yeah. You got your
They didn't have no sense back then.
celery Jell-O, which was another spinoff of that 60s trend with salads and Jell-O. Maple
That is
syrup
just-
Jell-O.
Oh.
Was one. Plain Jell-O,
Yeah.
which is useful in cooking, but otherwise,
Gelatin.
that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
That's just water suspended in cubes is all
Talk
that
about
is.
water,
Without
yeah.
the freezing. Yeah.
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 That's just texture.
In the
Texture with
night-
no flavor.
In the 1990s, we had apparently passion fruit and kiwi strawberry.
Oh.
There we go.
okay.
Sounds good. Yeah.
There's the fruit coming forward.
All the
When you
tropical fruits.
When you thought we were done with vegetable Jell-Os, Italian salad Jell-O. It was flavored after pasta and dressing. Oh my God, it's so nasty.
What do you like? Put good seasons, a packet of good seasons in the
Yeah, and
mix?
some shaky Parmesan cheese, some dry Parmesan.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're done.
Oh, I'd sooner make my Jell-O with hot dog water than I would eat one of those.
There was the dual bubble gum and cotton candy flavor, and finally lemon lime Jell-O, which actually turns out was discontinued. So there you go.
Too
Oh,
bad.
lemon lime.
Wow. Karen says, my mom had a book of Jell-O recipes and some were weird. Brandon says, all Jell-O's gross unless it has vodka in it. Yeah. Yeah. Some of those would be useful for drinks. That's a good point.
Right.
Celery.
He's effectively saying that Jell-O is just a delivery mechanism for vodka. On its own, it's of no value.
Yeah.
Wait, what's in
yeah.
a Bloody Mary? Maybe that's where the celery could come in handy. Does that involve vodka?
Maybe,
Don't
yeah.
they put
Tomato
But a
cheese
Bloody Mary
vodka.
just float some Jell-O cubes instead of the stalk of celery.
Yeah.
instead of the celery?
No, use the plain Jell-O just so it gets really thick. And you eat it with a spoon? Is that what you're saying? Karen says we made a salad we affectionately called green glop with lime Jell-O, pears, cream cheese, and Cool Whip. All right, that sounds delicious. That's fruity, though.
Interesting.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
And
I
the
would eat
name,
that.
so appetizing.
green glop. Yeah.
Hey, in other artificially flavored snack news, Jell-O isn't the only
You've all
brand.
been dying for.
Jell-O isn't the only brand with new offerings this month. Earlier this April, Post announced the launch of Spring Fruity Pebbles.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
It's the latest entry. I'm expecting a picture from John at any moment. John always sends me pictures of all Fruity Pebble versions of things because he knows I love Fruity Pebbles. It's the latest entry in the Pebbles lineup. It says the cereal features the fruity taste fans have come to love in Fruity Pebbles, only now in flakes inspired by the colors of flowers in spring. Pink, green, yellow, and blue. Because kids love eating plants. I don't get this. I guess maybe they're
The
bigger.
fifth mystery one, churro flavored.
Instead of being little rice, crispy shaped things, they're bigger.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something to that, but
I'm thinking like cornflakes is how I envision this.
yeah,
Like
but colorful.
like cornflakes that had dye in them, right? So they look like out of date cornflakes.
yeah. Or to me, I imagine based on this description, they look like petals from a flower, and I don't know that I want to eat that.
Instead of pebbles, they'll be slate or actual rocks.
Ooh.
Actual.
Larger than pebbles.
Wait, what? Instead of being,
You said they're going to be larger? They're not going to be little.
they're
tiny.
flakes instead of rice kernels.
But also thin and wispier.
yeah, they're puffed
Wispier,
rice now,
yeah.
so now they're going to be.
So like slate. So like pieces of
oh
slate.
yeah, like a slice
Oh.
of Oh, gotcha, fruity slate.
Yep.
Ah.
Unfortunately, slate is also the plural, so that doesn't really.
Because they thought that Fruity Bam Bam could be misconstrued.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you mean, but
Yeah, I
it
don't
was hilarious.
either. Oh.
Must have been the delivery.
And finally, what's become an entirely snack news.
Oh,
It's time for the summer season, so Dr. Pepper's announced a new limited time flavor. When I was a kid, I loved Dr. Pepper. Like we talked about where fruit striped gum was my gum. There was a period of time where Dr. Pepper was my drink. It was my cola of choice. It was like having an adult beverage. I mean, you practically needed a prescription to get it, or it sounded like you did. Well, they've got a new flavor. It's Dr. Pepper Creamy Coconut.
I love coconut.
Not averse to that.
Coconut? Yeah, I don't know how this would taste. It's hard to know.
So how, as a fellow Dr. Pepperite, Will, how would you describe the flavor of Dr. Pepper? It's not easy to describe.
Well, John, I'm going to tell you, I've been incepted with something, a bit of information that you've probably heard as well, which I wanted to talk about.
Okay. Okay.
With the idea of something that turned out actually was been a rumor since the 1930s that Dr. Pepper is made in part with prune juice.
Oh,
And ever
really?
since I heard that, and I heard that in the 1980s, because I remember telling everybody I knew, you'll never guess what's in it. Plums. Plums is the secret ingredient. And ever since then, I've always felt like it tastes a little bit like plum, doesn't it? So I don't know how else to account for the taste because it tastes like nothing I've ever tasted before other than Dr. Pepper.
So I have a flavor that I have used to try to describe Dr. Pepper, which is also not accurate, but it has a similar feel, similar mouth feel.
Okay.
And I tell people it's like liquid black licorice.
I wrote that down just now because I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. Well, I didn't put the liquid part. I just wrote the black licorice part.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Proof.
Yeah. And so I like black licorice. I like black jelly beans. I like Dr. Pepper. But some people like Dr. Pepper and yet hate those other two, though I think it's a similar taste.
I hate black licorice. I hate black jelly beans. You're right. That's interesting that could bring us together.
But you like Dr. Pepper. Interesting.
Yeah.
But as soon as you were saying you had
I
something.
wonder if there's fennel juice in there.
Oh, see, I hate fennel. I hate fennel.
I've heard you say that before. But what if that's the secret ingredient?
And
Would you keep drinking it?
Yeah, I like Dr. Pepper.
What if it's just pureed black licorice you find out? Oh my goodness. I had no idea.
Made from living black licorice. No, please, I have nothing more to give. Please let me go. I have a family. Then I probably would stop drinking it because of black licorice.
Three little beans at home.
Non-fruit forward thinking.
Yeah, no fruit there.
I don't know about this. I love coconut too, Kat. I don't know if I can imagine these two flavors together.
I would try it. Although I don't generally drink soda.
Yeah, I don't drink much
But I would
either.
like to give it a taste, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I tried Dr. Pepper until I was maybe in my 20s. It just wasn't something that was around, purchased in my house. And it seemed like other people's drink. I didn't have access to it.
Don't hold your pinky out when you drink that.
Oh, no. No, I just mean we had Coke and 7-Up. We had the more common ones.
Winthrop, bring me another Dr. Pepper. Post-haste.
Chad says cherry Dr. Pepper and cream soda Dr. Pepper are the best. That sounds good. It'll be available May 1st through end of July. I suspect if it does well and people are fans, it'll stick around. But it's described as having the flavor of layers of tropical coconut with a delicious creamy finish. It also has the distinction of being the only coconut cream flavored dark soda on the market. All right, wait, it's suspicious that they're throwing the word dark in there.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
Does that mean there's a coconut flavored Sprite or something like that? Is that what we're?
Who cares? I don't taste with my eyes. And it was like Crystal Pepsi. It's like, oh, it's a soda, but it's clear. I'm like, who gives a shit what color it is? Exactly. Unless it's green glop flavored, like we've colored.
That's Karen.
once you take a sip, you're like, that's so orange, so red. It's so, it's translucent, right? You don't care.
Well, but some people might. You might not, but some people might be choosing their drink by the color.
I guess.
With regard to the ingredients of Dr. Pepper, because I alluded to the fact that I suspect, or I had heard the rumor that it had prune juice in it. And Brandon in the chat says, doesn't it have a little circle in the logo saying it has 23 ingredients in it? Yes. We don't know what those are. And if you look at the actual can, it says, natural flavors is basically is the closest you'll ever get.
Soylent Green.
As for the formula for what these 23 ingredients may be, it's a trade secret. But allegedly, the recipe is kept in two halves in different vaults at two separate Dallas banks.
Wow. Okay.
But we do
both have to turn your key at the same time.
We do,
It's like launching the nukes. Insert your key, sir.
Then they failed at the first time, so they had to have a computer take over. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
We don't know specifically what the 23 ingredients are, except we know that none of them are prune juice because on the Dr. Pepper website, the FAQ says that, quote, does not contain prune juice.
Oh my gosh.
This rumor, as I mentioned, though, has been around since the 1930s. And although folks don't know precisely how it started, some speculate that that it began to be spread by a delivery man for a competitor who was trying to cast aspersions based on prune juice's known, laxative effect.
Effects.
Yes.
I guess you can go with Dr. Pepper if you're okay with shitting your pants, during the PTA meeting later this evening. Is your husband home? Can I talk to the man of the house?
Why wait for Olestra to be invented? You can
Right.
You can streak them up right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, no.
All right.
The 23 ingredients reminds me of one of the most clever Twitter accounts. Are you aware of KFC's Twitter account or X?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
they only follow the 5 Spice Girls and 2 people named Herb. They only follow 7 herbs and spices.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
So they
That's
also, because they
amazing.
also don't disclose their secret 7 ingredients, right?
Right.
Which
Right.
most people kind of know by now. But the point is, they continued the mythos into their Twitter account,
hilarious.
which I always thought was quite clever. So Dr. Pepper could do that. And they could follow 23 people, and each name could be a hint to one of the ingredients, and we'd have to
Ooh.
figure it out. Would that be fun?
Yeah.
And they follow 24th that's got a name Prune in it, just to be like,
Prune.
maybe he lied.
Prune-tastic. Right. William Licorice, they follow.
Well, I can tell you, folks, I tell you, Kat and John, and anybody who's still with us in the live and listening right now, this show was not made with prune juice. But that is it. It's done. It's made. It's done. It's baked. It's over. Goodbye.
And in fact, it was brought to you, not by the prune juice, but thank you in part
This is
to our
prune juice.
early adopters. Not Cerveza Cristal? Oh, darn. Thank you in part to our early adopters, Karen Flieger and Rick Parker.
Yes.
John's going to be rushing
Thanks,
off any
guys.
moment.
And thank you especially to our fruit forward secret of our success level Patreon supporters, Brandon Greer, Marcus Taylor, Tony Great, Nick Guillory, Craig Coletta, Matt Marino, and John Henderson.
Thank you
There they
so
are.
very much, guys. We
Thank
we
you,
adore
guys.
you. We appreciate you for all that you do for our show to keep it going every week. If you'd like to join this fantastic bunch of humans who we, just worship the ground upon which there's no prune in any of them. They're all fruit forward,
All fruit
not a
forward.
single prune, and all those things. Please go to patreon.com/1980s now, or do something else. Whatever.
Do something
Hey,
else.
a reminder. I didn't
Very
sound
cool.
like I was committed to it earlier, but May 4th, Saturday, join us. 8 p.m. Eastern, Facebook, YouTube, Star Wars Trivia. You can win $50 or maybe more, maybe $1 million, but not.
I'm going to make sure I can be there.
Yes. Hey, we will talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
Franks and beans.